Hello everyone, and welcome to my channel. A lot of you are here because you read the title, and that's fine. And those of you that have subbed to me and have been my friends and write to me, thank you. I appreciate your friendship and the comments you leave me, and they mean a lot to me. You know I'm not into the subscribe, like, and hit the bell thing, and I just enjoy the conversations that I have with some of you. Now this video is not easy for me to do. It's very difficult. But in light of things that have come forward and watching some of it play out, I think in order for you to make an informed decision, there's a lot of things that you need to know. And I want you to know that this is not easy for me to do at all, because like all of you, I adored Adam. I loved him like a son. Like, he meant a lot to my family, to me, well, me and my Jeremy. My Christopher is not capable of understanding anything. He's 39. He was in the Marine Corps. We'll talk about him in a little bit, but this is very hard for me to do because I really thought I was part of something special. I thought I was part of the Foogle fam. Hey, Foogle fam. The Foogle family, the Mafia. And come to find out that it's all a lie. It breaks my heart. It makes me really sad. And I know a lot of you are wondering, what is this all about? Well, I want to share some of it with you, and I want to share why I'm doing this video. I've done it like 3 times already, and 3 times I deleted what I had created, because then I would, I would listen to Adam's responses, and it just triggered me again, because he's not being truthful. Had he just came out and told the truth, very forgivable. The truth is always forgivable, always. You might have some that leave your channel, but my goodness, the truth would have been so much easier to accept and allow and be forgiven. But you can't do that. You couldn't just tell the truth. You had to make the story bigger and bigger, and then bring that guy on, that Terry France, bring him on, and then he lies. Do you understand how lies snowball? So here's the truth as I know it. And we're going back to Shauna. So for those of you that don't know me, I'm LCJC family. I've been a part of the Foogle family from the beginning. I came across Marfoogle TV, or Adam's channel, when he was very, very, very young and at starting the channel, very new. And I started watching because he was interesting. And soon after that, not even, I don't know, a few weeks, he made me a mod. I didn't even know I was a mod. Somebody said, hey, nice blue wrench. And I went, oh, I guess I'm a mod. So something that I was talking about, something that I'd said, caused Adam to make me a mod. So that's how I became a mod. Now, what a lot of you don't know is that when Adam did first start his channel, he was very adamant that it was going to be a news channel. He didn't want God to be brought into it or anything like that, and he was very vocal about that. And I remember one night, this is before I was a mod, there was one night where a lady came on, and he did phone calls with his phone, and she brought up God, and he said, well, something like, I'm vaguely remembering, that's nice and everything, but this is a news channel, we want to kind of keep it geared in that direction, or whatever it was that he said. And then after the show was over, after his segment was over, he would leave the chat running. And I realized that he left the chat open because he would sit there and quietly just read what we were writing. You know, who wouldn't? What creator doesn't want to know what people are saying about him, right? So he left the chat open, and we would all be in there, you know, typing to each other and talking and all this. And I don't know what somebody said, but I responded with, well, it'd be pretty sad if he, you know, was given this huge platform and he doesn't allow, you know, God to be brought into it. You know, he's going to have a lot to answer for, meaning to the Father. And that's pretty much all I said about it. Well, I'm pretty sure he was watching, because it was the next night or the night after. It was, I think it was the next night. But he, all of a sudden, he starts letting people talk about God, which I thought was wonderful. And I thought, okay, he changed his mind. He's going to do news, but he's also going to allow, you know, God in the platform as well. Which is why a lot of people started gravitating to his channel, and I shouted him out from the rooftops. I would go to any truther channel I could find, and I was posting his channel everywhere. I've done that for a few channels that have grown, that turned around and well, let's not talk about that. But I'd done it for a few channels, and they don't even know that I did it, because I don't need praise. I don't need, you know, thank yous. I don't need nothing like that. I did it because I just felt it was the right thing to do. And he started gaining subs and subs and subs. And, you know, people like to think they did it on their own. No, they didn't do it on their own. They did it because subs like us go and we start shouting their channel out. That's how they grow. And that's not a secret. That's why, you know, they say like, share, like, subscribe, and hit the bell and share, and because that's how they get their name out there. So his channel was very new, and I just shouted him out to the rooftops. And he started talking about, you know, doing, you know, videos on dreams and visions and this and that. Well, that never happened. It never happened. I mean, a few people called in and did a couple of you know, calls like that, but he talked about doing shows specifically for that, you know, so the whole show would be about dreams and visions of what people call in and share. But that never happened. And slowly, you know, I saw, you know, God going out of the picture. You know, it'd be brought up because we're all in there because of what's happening in the world, and we're awake. And people that are waking up, you know, when we find it, you know, when I found this channel and other truthers are in there, and when I say truthers, I mean truther to the Father, not truther to the lies of the government and all that. And I'm talking about the truth of the Father and everything that's happening in the world. And a lot of people are hearing from the Father, believe it or not. A lot of people are, and he's telling us what to do. You know, he's telling a lot of people, you know, whether it be by whatever means they feel he's talking to them through. But a lot of people came to this channel because of that reason, came to Adam's channel, Marfoogle TV, because they found a place where they were welcome, where everybody had a voice. You could say what you wanted, your beliefs and all of that. And then things started to change. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a backstory of my situation at the time, so that you'll understand why I'm compelled to do this. My son in June had turned 17. He graduated from high school a year early, and he wanted to become a Marine. And he came home and he told me, you know, Mom, I'm going to join the Marine Corps. Well, because he was only 17, he needed my signature to do it. And I told him, no, I want you to go to college. And he said, Mom, no, I want to join the Marines. And he was, you know, argumentative about it. And then my sister and brother-in-law talked to me, and they said, look, he's hanging around with the wrong crowd. You know, you need to let him do this. And I said, oh, okay. About 2 months later, in August, he brought a Marine Corps recruiter over, and we went over everything, and I signed the papers thinking, well, if anything, it's, going to make him a better person. Well, 2 weeks after I signed, 9/11 hit. I remember driving to work that day, and I was listening to the radio in my car, and they started talking about the planes were hitting. And I get to work, and we had a TV in the break room, so I was going back and forth, and I was just in complete panic because I knew what was going on. I knew it was an attack. I knew we were going to go to war over that. Well, I went in my office, and I called his recruiter, and I was crying. And I said, my son's not going. I didn't sign him up to go to war. I signed him up to be a man. Typical mom stuff, right? And the recruiter said, ma'am, you signed your son away. We hung up. And then my son calls me back. He says, Mom, what are you doing? I said, Christopher, we're going to go to war. I didn't sign you up to go to war. He said, Mom, please don't mess with my career. So I said, okay. Well, 2 weeks later, they called him up. And they said, it's time for you to go to boot camp. So I took him to my mom's. It was 5 o'clock in the morning. And the recruiters showed up in their car, and we hugged, said our goodbyes. My mom was outside, me and her, and we hugged him goodbye. And he gets in the back of the recruiter car, and it was a foggy day. It was so foggy you couldn't even see the next street, like the next curb. He gets in the car, and the car drives away, and I remember staring at him as long as I could before the fog engulfed the car. And I hugged my mom goodbye, and I get in my car. I'm driving home. It was a 40-minute ride, and I was crying, and I was screaming at myself, why did you let him go? You have to understand, by telling you all of this, I have to relive it again. And it's not easy. So, he graduated from boot camp. We all went, most of my family. And the following Christmas, he came home for Christmas, and, we spent a couple of days together and did some shopping, and it was Christmas morning. And it was, I don't know, 4 or 5 in the morning, and we get the phone rings, and we didn't wake up in time to grab the phone, and the message that was left was, this is so-and-so, Camp Pendleton. We need we need Lance Corporal Frost to call us right away. He's being recalled. And I jumped out of bed, and I tried to grab the phone, but it was too late. He hung up. And I remember just, running through the house, kind of, I don't know, it was so surreal. And I went and I woke him up, and I said, Christopher, your command called you. And he jumps up, and he goes, what'd they say? And I said, you have to call him back. So he calls him back, and all I hear is, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. Right away, sir. And he hung up. I said, what? He said, we're getting recalled. I got to go. I said, right now? And he goes, right now. And so I had to call the airline, and I can't remember the name of the airline, but I remember I called them, and they said, I explained, because they don't let you, the ticket that I got for him, they don't let you change the tickets unless you have standing orders. And so I told him what was going on, and he said, what unit was it? And I told him, I said, you're going to get a lot of boys calling you today. There are a lot of people changing their flights. And he said, okay. So he changed his flight. And my son was packing his things, and we jumped in the car, and we had to drive him to San Francisco, which was about, I don't know, 45-minute ride from where we lived. It was just so quiet all the way there. And Me and Charlie, my husband, we took him in the airport and we hugged him goodbye. And I remember driving home. We were crossing over the bridge, the Bay Bridge, and I was looking out the window and I couldn't even sob. It was just tears just kept flowing and flowing. And all my husband did was held my hand. He didn't say a word, because things like this, what can you say? He just held my hand. Well, that April, Bush declared war. And I was at my sister's house and I was sitting on an ottoman right in front of the TV. Like, I mean, I could kiss the TV. I was that close. And he declared war. And I knew where my son was going to go. And I knew, because of what was going on, but he was also in a show called Mountain Marines, and it was on the Discovery Channel, and I'd seen it prior to this, and they filmed them in cold weather training, and at the end of the video, it was Lieutenant Colonel Mortensen. He was the commanding officer. He gave the boys a speech, and he said, "Y'all know what's going on out there in the world, and you know that we will be the first to be called, and we will be the first to go." And it was at the end of that video. So when Bush declared war, that came into my head. And so then a few days go by. Christopher calls me up and he said, "Mom, I don't want you to say my name, and I don't want you to say where you think I'm going. They're listening and I just want to talk to you. And if you say anything, they'll hang up on us." And I said, "Okay." And he said, I'll ask you questions." And I said, "Okay." And he asked how I was, and I said, "Fine." And he asked how Grandma and Grandpa were, and I said, "We're all fine." And he said, "Be careful what you say, okay?" And I said, "Okay." He said, Do you know where I'm going? Just give me a yes or a no." And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "I'm on my way there." And I think he said he was on a boat. He didn't say ship, but I said, "Okay." And he said, "I'm going to be okay." And I knew in our short conversation that he was on a ship on his way to Spain. And he had mentioned that too. I think it was a very, very short conversation. Maybe he didn't. Maybe he told me that. I think he told me that later when we spoke. But he was on a ship on his way to Spain, and from Spain they went to Kuwait. I remember hanging up the phone and I was just crying. And I went in the living room, and my mom and my brother were in there talking about something, and I said something, I don't even remember, but I remember it was just something odd, and because they just stared at me. They didn't say anything, and they just stared at me. And everything's foggy after that, but he would end up doing 3 tours over there in the Middle East. And what people don't understand is, particularly through his first tour, when the war first started, you would hear the news say things like, 2nd Battalion, 8th Marines fired upon, or 2nd Battalion, 8th Marines ambushed at bridge, and these were all different points in the start of the war. And you would have to wait to either get a knock on the door that your child was dead, a phone call that they were injured, or 72 hours you would find out that they were okay. So the first 24 hours would be knock on the door, the second one would be that they were injured, and the third day would be that they're okay. And it got to the point where when somebody would knock on the door, I would hide in the corner of my room, and I wouldn't open the door, and I'd call my husband at work crying, telling him they're knocking on the door, and he'd say, who? And I'd tell him, I don't know. We'll go open it. I tell him, no, what if it's them? What if it's them? And the phone rang. I was afraid to pick it up because we didn't have cell phones. They were available, but we didn't have them at the time. And for the longest time, for many, many years afterwards, the ringing of a phone just puts chills in my body. But every time something would happen, it was horrible. It was a horrible time. So he would go on to serve his 3 tours, and he served 2 tours, and the Marine Corps wanted him to re-up. And he didn't want to. He met a beautiful girl. He wanted to get married. And they said, well, we're going to get another tour out of you. So they were sending him back. He was stationed in North Carolina, his unit. And so he said, they're sending me next week, and I want to get married. And so me and some of my family drove to Camp Pendleton, because at this point he's done 2 tours and he's now stationed at Camp Pendleton. So we went, and they had a very small ceremony. It was beautiful, and I was happy for him. And then a week later he went to his 3rd tour and came home, and he had his whole life ahead of him, beautiful wife, and they were going to start a family, and he joined the LA Sheriff's Department. And I remember at the graduation, they asked for all the men and women that served 1 tour to please stand up. So a lot of them stood up, and they said, if you serve 2 tours, remain standing. And most of them sat down. There was a handful that stood up. And then they said, if any of you served 3 tours, remain standing. And everybody sat down except my son. And I remember hearing the applause. And, I was the proud mom. And everything about the war kind of went away because he wasn't there anymore. And I was just very proud of him. So he went to his new job, and he worked there for about 3 years. And I remember the last year he would call me, and he wasn't really sounding right. He was saying asking questions and just different things. And towards the end of the last year, I remember him calling me, and he was in a panic, and he said, Mom, if I call for help, will they come running? And he was working in the jail at the time. And I said, Christopher, if you call code 3, they're going to come running. They're going to have your back. And he was just, a lot of his phone calls didn't make any sense. And then I remember it was around November, and he called me, and he never stayed on the phone with me longer than a few minutes. And I remember he called me, and he stayed on the phone for like half an hour. And at the time I didn't understand why. Later I realized he was saying goodbye. We talked about all kinds of things, and then we hung up. And he wasn't a mama's boy. He didn't call home every day or every week. I mean, maybe a couple times a month. And, well, let me back up just a second. He had called me before that last phone call. He had called me before that, a few months before that. And he had already been put on leave because of his behavior. And they knew he had PTSD. And he called me one day, and he was telling me, Mom, I need help. And I said, Christopher, let me come get you. I'll bring you home. And he said, no. And he really loved his auntie, my sister. And so I called her, and she got on the phone with him. And And she called me back and she said, okay. She goes, I'm going with you. We're going to go get him. And I said, okay. Then he calls me right back. And he said, Mom, I don't want you to come. I said, why? And he goes, I'm okay. I don't want to come out there. I said, why, Christopher? Let us bring you home. We can get you help here. And he said, Mom, I'm going to kill myself. And he hung the phone up. I remember I didn't, he just moved to a new apartment because his wife left him by this time. We're going on 3 years. She couldn't deal with it anymore. I didn't know his address. I only had his phone number. I didn't know the number where he worked. So I called R911 and I explained to them what was going on. It took about an hour and a half before they could find out who I was talking about, where he was, and they finally got a hold of his command there, and they went to his apartment and they secured him. You know, and when I talked to his sergeant on the phone, I said, is he okay? And they said, yeah, he seems fine. I said, look, he's not a mama's boy. He doesn't call me to cry and whine. There's something wrong with him, and he did threaten to hurt himself. I said, I'm not a mama, you know, chasing after their son, okay? I'm telling you there's something wrong. And he said, okay. He said, well, we'll try and take care of it. So we hung up. And then a few weeks later is when he called, or a few months later, he called me and we talked for like half an hour or so. And then after that, I didn't hear from him anymore. And then sometime that December, they called me up looking for him. And they wanted him to return back to work after his leave or his time away. They gave him time off. And I said, well, what do you mean? He lives over there. You don't know where he is? And they said, well, we can't get a hold of him. And so I tried getting a hold of him and I couldn't. So I called them back and I said, well, now I'm worried. How long's he been missing? And they said, well, we don't know. Well, then I get a hold of, his command, his captain and sergeants and all of them. And they're all in a room and I'm on the phone with them in a conference call. And they said, well, what do you expect us to do? And I said, well, you're the LA Sheriff's Department. I expect you to look for my son. He works for you. He's one of you. And they said, okay. Well, they put an all points bulletin out for him. Everybody was looking for him. And it took a few days, but they found him. And he was living homeless somewhere in Las Vegas. And they said, because he's an adult, they couldn't tell me where he was, other than he was in Las Vegas and he was fine. And they gave me his liaison's officer, and I kept in touch with him a few times, but nobody would tell me where he was or where I could go find him. So me and my husband would go there and we would look for him. We'd walk around, where we thought homeless people would be. Later on, we would find out that he was like in the main thoroughfares and stuff, but at the time we never even looked there. Well, 3 years go by and I get a phone call one day that he walked into a VA hospital, and I was just about to sit into a dentist chair when my mom called me and told me she got the phone call. And she gave me the number and I called back, and it was the VA hospital in Las Vegas. And I called them up and they said, he's here, and, he couldn't remember your phone number. Well, I had remarried and I hadn't started my business yet or anything, but he remembered his grandmother's business. He remembered her phone number. That's why he called her. And so I called my husband and I told him I'm leaving. I'm packing a few things and I'm out the door. And he said, I'll be right there. Well, his company already knew what was going on. So as soon as they told him, he jumped in his car and he drove home. And we drove that night all the way there. It was like 7 hours or something. And they wouldn't let us see him till the next morning. And we went and we saw him and hugged, and he was very quiet. But I brought him home. And I started taking him to the therapist there, and where we lived at the VA hospital. And he was diagnosed with infancy syndrome. And that's where they revert back to a safe year in their life.
It's like a protection mechanism in their brain. And I said, well, is he going to be like this his whole life? And they said, well, in some cases they just snap out of it, but in other cases they just stay like this. And I said, well, will he ever grow up? And they said, no, it doesn't work that way. And it didn't take long before I realized he was 8 years old, because they said that they revert back to a safe year. And I knew he was 8 because of the things he liked, the things he would do. I just realized, I learned that he had gone back to being 8 years old. But he has the cognitive sense of a 3-year-old. So he can't cook for himself. He can't, I have to watch everything he does. For instance, he wanted to make some pasta salad, and I bought these boxes, and all you do is boil the pasta and then mix the packet. That's it. It's pretty easy. He put the pasta in my blender, my my mixer or whatever, and then he put the powder in there and he turned it on. What sense is that? I deal with a lot of different things here that he does, and so he's a child. He's never going to get married. He's never going to have children. And I don't know how long he's going to stay like this. But this is our life here. This is a lot of veterans' lives. Even if they don't have infancy syndrome, there are things that they go through that they can't cope with. A lot of these vets come home and they can't cope with life. Maybe they don't revert back to their infancy, but they can't cope with the world anymore. And anything can trigger them. Not having a car to go to work, to support their family, or anything could cause them to snap. And do you know that as many men that have gone over there and fought, the same number of men have come home and taken their own life? My Christopher very well could have been one of those statistics had I not brought him home, because a lot of families, they can't deal with it, so they don't let them stay home, because it's hard. It's really, really hard, because you don't, even though they're a child, you don't have control over them. Even if they're going through what they're going through, the parents don't have control over them, and it's hard. And when I found out from the VA hospital, or from the VA, his liaison officer comes over to check on him, and he told me a lot of people become their fiduciary, keep the money, and they kick the soldier out, or the Marine out, what have you. And it just shocked me. It just shocked me. I had no idea that people do that to their own children or relatives. So they come out and they have to have eyes on. They want to see them in your home. Now, let me tell you something about the VA. Since Trump took over, people can't do that anymore. They want eyes on. They come and see him. They talk to him. They want to know that service member is in your home and you're taking good care of them. No longer can you steal from these children or these vets. Not in this way. And this apparently was so bad. So when Trump came in, he stopped all that. He made sure that every single military person had a liaison officer that would go to the fiduciary's home, and they go through paperwork, his funds, with a fine-tooth comb, you guys. Like, I've got to give them an accounting for every single penny that I spend on him. And I spend all that money on him. He gets what he wants, anything he wants, and I take very good care of my son. But before Trump came into office, this was not happening for a lot of military people. That's why there's a lot of homeless. A lot of them are homeless and they don't even know they get this money. I didn't even know Christopher got this money until I had him at home for what, I don't know, at least 3 years before finally his doctor told me that, hey, do you know he gets this? And I'm like, no. So he helped me with that so that Christopher could have money, because before then I had my own business. I just give him credit cards and debit cards and just let him spend whatever he spent. But Trump changed the ball game. So I am very thankful for him for that, because a lot of vets were being mistreated by their own family members. Now, let's talk about Shauna. A lot of you don't even know her name. You don't know what she looks like. I would like to put a photo of her up, but without her permission, I'm not going to. But I am going to talk about her because it's important. Shauna is a veteran. She served her country with pride and honor. This is really hard for me to tell you, because what we did to her was horrendous, and it should have never happened. Shauna, in the very beginning, soon, I would say within a year or more, I don't remember the dates, but Shauna became part of the Fugel family, and she was working directly with Adam, and they had, everything was going great. She was a little militant with us mods. She created a Discord room where all of us mods would go in, and we would talk while we modded, so that we could decide together, you know, should this person stay or should they go? Are they causing too much trouble in the chat? Should they, you know, what have you? And she was militant about it. She was very strict about it. Mods couldn't go into the chat and talk or anything like that. She made it very professional, and in that aspect. And things started changing. Once, I don't know if it was her that brought Dex in, or if he just showed up. I don't know how Dex got into the picture, but once he got in, things started to change, and her and Adam started to kind of go back and forth. And I don't know the details of the back and forth, other than Adam showed me the emails or the text messages where she would text him over and over and over. But then now, in hindsight, I'm seeing other information where he was doing the same, or calling her, and all you have to do is go to Snafu Snaps 3, go to his video, and you can hear the phone conversation between the two. But that wasn't the information we had at the time. The information we had at the time was that she was going after his channel, she was going to hurt his channel, and Adam was the victim. And because all of us mods believed in Adam, we believed what he was saying, we were very much manipulated into going after Shauna. And I know a lot of you are saying, yeah, but you're a grown woman, how can you be manipulated? Well, it's very easy for people to be manipulated, because we all were. We were all fooled. Shauna was a vet. When we would go after her and target her in different chats and stuff like that, I didn't realize this at the time, but we could have triggered her to do something awful. And I think about that now, and I look back, and I'm so ashamed of myself. I'm so ashamed of what we did for a YouTube channel. A YouTube channel that gives the news, things that we can go find ourselves. We're just too lazy to do it. We did this for a YouTube channel. And all the mods were involved. There were very few that were not. Trinity was not involved. Trinity would go into that Discord chat, but she was always quiet. She never said anything. So we couldn't figure out if she was on Adam's side. Was she not? Adam thought that she was the person giving Shauna information. But they created another room, a private room, where we would all go into the first room and say, hey, good show, great show. But then after that, we would all say goodbye. But then all of us in the know would go up to a private chat that nobody knew about. And that's when the scheming would take place. That's where the underhandedness would take place. And Adam asked me, he called me up one night and he asked me if I would find out, because now Shauna's on the verge of leaving. She wasn't sure if she wanted to stay because they were just going at it too much. It got to the point where when Adam would come into the Discord room after the show, she would stay quiet. She wouldn't even talk. Sometimes she would just leave. And to avoid him. And he called me up and he asked me if I would find out if they separated, what mods would stay with him and what mods would go with her, so that he knew at least he had mods or needed to get some. And I said, sure, because I didn't think nothing of it. I mean, 4 weeks or 2 weeks before, or no, a week before, me and Shauna talked on the phone for like 4 hours one night. We had an amazing conversation. She's a very, very, very nice person. And she said that she was on the fence, that she was leaning towards leaving, but she didn't know. And also, this is important, she had TMJ. And it's a issue with your mouth where it causes you a lot of pain, and it's a real thing. And a couple of mods were talking about doing a fundraiser for her, but nobody would do anything. They just talked about it. And as soon as I heard, I just set up a GoFundMe just like that. Just like I just did for somebody else, and then found out that she was mad at because I did it, and that I should have never done it. It wasn't my business. So Jay, I'm sorry. Jay Stone, if you're listening to this, which I'm sure you are because you're one of Adam's mods, I'm sorry I did that. I'm sorry I embarrassed you. I'm sorry I humiliated you by starting a GoFundMe for you or fundraiser, whatever, and that upset you because somebody told me that you were pretty upset and I embarrassed you. So I'm sorry for embarrassing you, Jay. But I did this for Shauna, and I did a video for it, and I promoted her very well because she needed quite a bit of money to get the surgery done. Well, at the same time, I didn't realize that Adam and her were starting to have a fallout. And after me and her talked for 4 hours on the phone, and you know, she had said that she was just going to give the money back to everybody, and I told her no. I said, no, that was given to you. Spend it on whatever you want, but that was given to you. Don't give it back. And a week later, when Adam asked me to see what mods would stay his, I just started asking. So I called up Bones and his wife, and they were new mods. And I said, hey, if this goes down, do you want to stay with Shauna or do you want to stay with Adam? And they said, oh, we'll stay with Adam. I said, okay, cool. I didn't think nothing of it. So then I go into Discord and I see Lisa R. Hall, and I forget the other girl's name. She's no longer with the channel. But I asked them, hey, if this goes down, you're going to stay with Adam, you're going to go with her. And they both said they're going to stay with Adam. Well, as I'm in the middle of talking to them, Shauna comes into the Discord room, and she starts laying in and screaming at me and everything, and I couldn't figure out what the heck. You were going to leave anyway. Well, I couldn't understand why she got so upset, but apparently I'm thinking she thought that I was turning on her, and I wasn't. She had already told me a week before that she was going to leave, that she was on the verge of leaving, so I didn't see anything, no big deal. Then I couldn't figure out, how did she know? Because I was in the middle of telling these two girls, but the other two, Bones and his wife, they knew. So I knew how she knew. They called and told her. And for about 2 weeks, Adam let me be thrown under the bus. The other mods wouldn't talk to me. They thought I was a troublemaker. And he actually called me up the next day after she yelled at me, and he's like, what'd you do? I didn't tell you to do that. I'm like, what? You told me to do this. And he said, well, not like that. Well, come to find out, he wanted me to be sneaky about it in conversation. Hey, if they split, you know, do you think you'll stay with Adam or go over there? And he wanted me to be conniving about it. And that wasn't me. I just asked him straight up. So that's how I knew that Shauna found out that I was doing that, was because Bones and his wife called her and told her. And her not understanding and thinking that I'm starting trouble came in and screaming at me, when really I thought it was okay because she was on the way out anyway, out of her own free will. Well, from that point on, it was just complete chaos. It was her making comments and mods going after her. We would go into the main chat in Discord in our room, and everyone would say, we wouldn't talk about Shauna. We would just, say, hi, great show. And then we would all leave and say goodbye, and we go to the private room. So when Snafu Snap says that we had private meetings, oh yeah, we did. We did. And it was all discussed about Shauna. And all the mods that were involved, we were all manipulated into protecting Adam. And when I look back at the BS that we did, when I look back at everything, I am embarrassed. I'm humiliated. I am ashamed of the person that I became during that time. Now, that only happened for a short period before my husband passed away. And when my husband passed away, she called me. And she said, she goes, I guess you're surprised that I'm calling you. And I said, yeah, I am. And I explained to her why I felt it was okay to do what Adam wanted me to do. And she understood, but I'm sure she still felt that it was wrong. And we talked for, I don't know, about an hour. And I told her, if you keep running your channel, I will be a mod for you. I will still have your back and help you with your channel and what have you. So we had a nice conversation. And Adam started a GoFundMe. Well, he initiated the GoFundMe. It was Lisa and CJ that ran it. When my husband died, because he didn't leave anything, we didn't think he was going to die. I mean, he was healthy. And they started a fundraiser. And from what I understand, all the mods participated and everything. And, I remember Dex telling me that they were, a little upset because it didn't get as much money as Shauna's GoFundMe fundraiser. But I told him, I said, because she was military. I'm just someone that lost their husband. She was promoted as military, so a lot of people are going to donate to that kind of a charity. You see the difference? Military, a lot of donations. Non-military, not so many. Although I did appreciate every time I appreciated everything from all of you that donated to me. Now, right now, some of you are saying, well, if you appreciate it, why are you doing this video? Well, I didn't sign my soul away to Adam. Number one. Number two, I found out the truth about the fundraiser. I think it got up to like 4,400 or something like that. After mine and Adam's initial phone call, when he called to talk to me about my husband's death, I never spoke to him again on the phone. I never spoke to him through email. Nothing. But somewhere down the line, when it hit 4,400, the fundraiser was stopped. And I've talked to a few mods, and they've told me the truth, and they told me the things that he was saying about me. And he told them that the reason he stopped the fundraiser was because I was greedy, I wanted more money, and all this. Well, I never talked to Adam. I never said any such thing, because I'm not greedy. I would have been happy if I got $10, $5. I would have been happy if someone just came here and helped me on my property. So, Adam, you lied about that. You lied and you told those mods that the reason you stopped my GoFundMe was because I was greedy and ungrateful, and that you'll never do a fundraiser for anybody else because of me. When all along I thought you weren't doing fundraisers because it wasn't either had to do with your income or and I also heard that you said that it was because, you know, a lot of people are asking for fundraisers, you know, after Shauna's and then mine. And we were going to do that. We were going to do fundraisers for other people in the Fugel family. We were going to help other people. But then when Adam pulled mine, I guess he realized that he's losing a lot of money because now he's not making so much. Now that is just a thought that I have. I don't have truth about that, okay? But Adam, you lied about me because I am not greedy. I never talked to you after my husband died. I didn't even know the GoFundMe had stopped. I just know I stopped getting emails that somebody sent me something. So then I just assumed it was over. I didn't think nothing of it. But you told the other mods, some of your current mods, because they told me this information, that that's why you stopped it. That's what you told them. It was because of me. And shame on you. Shame on you for saying things like that about me. Shame on you for talking behind my back. And you told them, you were telling the mods behind my back. After my husband passed away, I stayed away for the last 2 years. I just started coming back regularly a couple of months ago. Before that, I would come in once a month, once a week, something, very seldom to mod. But I didn't know you guys set up another room, and I think it was in Telegram or something like that. You set up another room where all the mods go and your new mods go. And I didn't know any of that. So when I came back, I didn't know the mods were meeting anywhere. And I was the outsider now. And you're telling them that I'm a gossip. You're telling them I can't be trusted. I was your biggest supporter, Adam. I shouted you to the rooftops. I can't, for the life of me, understand why you would talk about me. Because in those 2 years, these last 2 years, my husband's been gone for 3. But in these last 2 years, I've physically talked to 2 people. Well, 4. The contractor that ripped me off and his wife, my younger brother, and then 2 mods. One of them I talked to about a month and a half ago. We talked for like 4 hours on the phone about God. We didn't gossip. We talked about God. I did ask her about what was going on because I saw WV's video where Dex went in and she spanked him and sent him the hell out. And I want to know what, because I've been gone for 2 years, I want to know what's going on. I didn't know nothing. And then the other mod, I talked to maybe every couple of months. And when I asked her, she said, I don't even want to get involved and I don't want to talk about it. So me and her didn't discuss it at all. We spent our time talking about God. But the other mod I was on for 4 hours, she gave me the basic rundown that Snafu Snaps was targeting create certain creators, and I said why, and she said she didn't know. Well, now I know that that's not true, that there's a reason he was doing it, and we're all finding that out now. Now, a month or so, maybe 2 after my husband passed away, I came back to being a mod, and it was too soon. I had no business coming back. I should have stayed away, but I did, and that's when I started seeing the attacks happening. And I jumped in with both feet, and I joined in the targeting. I was saying things, and just like everybody, just like the other mods were doing. And when I look back at all of that, all I can do is ask Shauna to forgive me in the part that I played. And I feel horrible that I did that. And I could say, oh, my husband just died. I wasn't in the right frame of mind. You know when you're hurting somebody. You know what you're doing is wrong. But at the time, I thought what she was doing was wrong. And so the attacks were justified. And I think I was in it for a couple of months. And then one night, people were doing the other mods were shouting out Bones' channel to get him to 1,000, and people were asking about Mountain Man, and they wanted to hear him, and West Virginia Prepared Mind was going to have him on her show the following Monday. So I was, shouting that out. I was putting links to her channel, and someone came in the room and started screaming, yelling at me, and well, not screaming, but just came after me. Why'd you do that? Why you promoting WV? We were all promoting Bones. Why are you promoting WV? And she kept asking me over and over and over again, and I kept giving her the same answer because I was just like lost. I couldn't understand why she was coming after me. And me and her got a little heated, and I'm sorry, I'm a grown woman. You're not going to talk to me that way. And so I stuck up for myself. And what I found out now, in talking to those mods, and Adam, you might think you got yourself a nice little cozy group there, but let me tell you something. Everybody talks. Everybody talks. And a couple of your mods told me why I was attacked that night. Because after I was attacked, that's when the 2 years started where I stayed away. But what I found out was that there was a meeting in the private room where all of us mods were going to change our screen names to mimic Shauna and Ziggy and a few other people. We were going to mimic their names and go in chat rooms and pretend we're them. Well, Shauna found out about it, and nobody could figure out who told her. And I started doing the math, and it all led up to Bones' wife. And I called CJ. Me and CJ talked in Discord, and I told her what was going on. And I told her why I thought it was Bones' wife. And she agreed. It made sense. So we both talked to Adam. And Adam was pissed. He was angry. And he said he was going to come up with something to catch Bones in a lie. And then me and CJ started talking about it. This happened really within one day. And we started talking about it. And I was under the impression that Bones was not a believer, but I could see when we would get together that he would ask questions about God. So I knew he was interested. I knew he was, in my mind, turning towards the Father. So me and CJ talked, and I told her, look, if we do this, it could turn him away not only from this channel, but it could turn him away from God too. And I said, I don't think we should do this. I think we should let it go. And, I don't think it'll ever happen again. And we talked about it for a while. And then I sent Adam a message in Discord saying, hey, can we drop it? And I explained to him why. And he said, yeah. So it was dropped. That was it. It was the end of it. We'll come to find out that this other person, and I'm not saying her name because it doesn't matter, but come to find out that that's why she came at me that night, because she thought that I was again starting trouble. And CJ, you were in Discord when she did that. You didn't say nothing. You didn't stick up for me. You didn't try and defend me. You didn't try and tell her, hey, hold on. Because by now, y'all have been talking behind my back. And you knew the truth. We narrowed it down. But you didn't say nothing. Not a word. That's why she came after me. So, that night, Adam called me and I was really upset. And I told him that I didn't deserve to be treated like that. I told him that I was going to stay away for a while. That I wasn't going to mod and I was just going to stay away and mourn my husband. And I should have done that to begin with. I had no business joining in the reindeer games. I had no business joining in the attacks to hurt another person. A veteran. She served our country. And we attacked her for it. Horrible things were being said to her and about her. And for all of this, Shauna, I'm so ashamed. And I hope you can forgive me for the part that I played. And for all of you mods that were involved, you should apologize as well. Because it was wrong. It was dog dirty wrong what we did to her. We could have triggered her to take her life. We could have done... I know what we did affected her. And I was also accused of talking to her throughout this whole time. Me and her never spoke. After my husband died, me and Shauna never spoke to each other again. Other than during the attacks. All you mods that were involved, and I don't care if you took a screenshot, if you were in those mod meetings, you owe her an apology. You should be ashamed of yourself, just like me. And you should tell her you're sorry. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, I repented, so I'm good. No, you're not. If you do not apologize to her and release that from her heart so that she can forgive you, you cause her to stumble. If the Father comes right now and she has that in her heart and has not forgiven every one of you, the people she does not forgive cause her to stumble and not be able to go to heaven. And some of you might be thinking, oh, there she goes talking about God. This is a real deal. This is a real thing. And this is important. And just like you did it online behind her back, you should do it online to her face and tell her you're sorry for the part you played. No matter how small, nobody is innocent in any of this. Nobody. You can sit there and be the little mouse and, well, I didn't do anything. Well, I just copied and pasted, what I saw being posted about Adam, or I just did. If you were in that room, you were involved. Still a penny, still $1 million, it's still theft. You need to apologize to her. And I encourage you to do that. Because all of us allowed the manipulation to take place. And even other channels joined in. Snafu Snaps. There's a few others. I'm not going to say their names because it's pointless to say their names. Everybody involved knows who they were. If you have any integrity, any honor, any Christianity in you, you'll do it. And if you don't, then I question what God you follow. The next morning, or no, later that night, or it could have been, I think it was the next day, Snafu Snaps called me. Or I called him, I don't remember which, but we were talking. And I was upset at what had happened the night before. And I told him, I said, I don't like the way Adam is being made fun of, how he's the grunt of every joke in the beginning of his videos. And it wasn't professional and I didn't like it. And then it made him look bad. And where him and Dex would have like a little skit in the beginning, but Adam was always made the joke. And I told Snafu what I felt. Well, I had discernment, and what I felt was that the day was going to come where everybody's going to look at him as a joke, and somehow he was going to be taken not serious. And because everybody takes Dex serious, I could tell in the comments, people were saying things like, oh, if it wasn't for Dex, Adam wouldn't be nothing. If it wasn't for Dex this, if it wasn't for Dex that. I saw all that. And I was paying attention to it. And I told Snafu Snaps, I said, I don't like it. I don't like the way he's being made fun of. Even if he's in on it, I don't like it. It's making him look unprofessional. And I have a feeling that he's going to be pushed out. And Dex is going to run the show. That's what I felt in my spirit. Well, we talked about that, and then we hung up. Then the next morning, Snafu Snaps calls me back. And Snafu Snaps, you know, he's known to record people. And when he called me back, he started talking about that. And I said, you know what? I don't even want to talk about it. I don't want to have nothing to do with it. I was angry. It was just something that I was thinking about, and I want to drop it. And we dropped it. And then we started talking about me and him collabing and this and that. And we hung up. And I stayed away from the channel. I would go in and watch every now and then, but I pretty much stayed away. And over time, I started thinking, you know, had I said something and he had recorded, then another BS drama would be happening, right? But I don't know if that's true or not, if that was his plan or whatever. But Snafu knew what my feelings were that night. So anyway, I stayed away for a couple of years, you know, just coming in and out here and there. And I came back a couple months ago. I came back. I knew things were different, because before, if we wanted to come on the channel, all we'd have to do is send Dex a message and, you know, he'd get us on. And that's something else that we lied about. And we'd say, oh no, we got to call in too and wait in line and blah, blah, blah. It was a lie. All we had to do was call Dex and we got on anytime we wanted. However, when I came back, 3 different times I tried to get on the show because Adam was talking about things that I had experienced, and like people living on your property and the issues you're going to go through and things like that. But every time I sent him a message, he'd just ignore me. So at that point, I knew that there was a grudge being held. Even almost 2 years later, still grudges being held. But I didn't say nothing, you know. Over the time that Adam had up till now, since he started his channel, I did 3 testimonies for him and Dex. And I just figured, you know, let bygones be bygones. Let's just, you know, move forward. But apparently not. Well, because I'd been gone, I didn't know that Adam was collabing as many times as he was with Global Witness and Jacob Israel. I didn't know. And I'm in chat, and all of a sudden I hear Adam say things like, hey, Global Witness is in the chat. Say hi to him, everybody. And I'm thinking, what? Why is he shouting him out? And then I realized he was also shouting out Jacob Israel. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. First, he doesn't want the channel to be about God. Then he allows God to be talked about. Then it kind of strayed away. Nobody was really talking about God, just what's going on. Well, we talk about as far as revelations and stuff, but then now he's promoting 2 teachers that are lying through their teeth. They're giving false teachings. Global Witness says, if you have Christ in you, you are the Christ. And in one of the because by now I'm going and I'm looking at these collabs because I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. When did this start? And I realized, because I don't sub to Jacob or Global Witness, I go over to their channel and I'm seeing these collabs and I'm like, oh my gosh, I had no idea because I haven't been around. And I listened to a couple of the collabs and my gosh, the things they talk about, I was floored. So anytime Adam would shout out Global Witness, some of you might remember me typing, if anybody says you are the Christ because you have Christ in you, it's a flat out lie and you shouldn't follow that teaching. I didn't say his name, I just make that comment. And then when he would shout out Jacob Israel, I would just say, I don't follow him. He's New Age and he's causing people to sin. And there was one last time I made that comment. And Adam said, even if you don't agree with what, I'm going to have a special guest. I want to have Jacob on. And even if you don't agree with his teaching, you all be nice. So I had posted that, I don't follow him and I don't suggest others do or something like that. I don't remember. But I also put, well, if he comes on, I won't speak against him. Well, he's on. Well, then the next night comes and I go in a chat thinking nothing. And I make a comment or something. And all of a sudden somebody says, hey, didn't you have a blue wrench? And I look and I'm like, oh, huh. So I emailed Dex and I said, hey, was that a glitch or did you unmod me? And he gives me no response. So then after the show, I emailed Adam. And I told him, hey, what's going on, da-da-da. And I said, I don't know why I was unmodded, but there's only 3 things I can think of. One is the CFP Central Florida Prepper. It was the end of the show and he was shouting out for everyone to go into the Shout Show channel. And he was saying all the cool kids go to the Shout Show channel. And I said, yeah, all the cool kids get collabs. And he got offended because he came back at me and like, what collabs? And I said, you're fine. I was only joking, but really I was irritated about the whole, Global Witness and Jacob thing. But I wasn't really meaning to say anything bad about CFP. Well, I told him it was either because of that or because I spoke against Jacob Israel or that Dex saw me when I went into WV's live stream. I didn't know the fight was going on. I didn't know nothing about what Snafu Snaps was doing other than he was targeting people, but I didn't know why. And I certainly didn't know WV was involved. So when Dex went in there and she spanked him and kicked him out and accused him of hijacking her channel or going onto her computer and hacking it and stuff, I was floored. Like, what is going on now? So I told him, I said, it could be that. That could be the third reason, that they think that I'm buddies with them. And I really don't know what's going on. And I am friends with them. I'm not going to stop being friends with somebody just because somebody has an issue with them. But that's when I realized things were bad. And then I started looking at older videos that they put out. And I started putting two and two together like, oh my goodness, this crazy's going on again. So Adam sends me an email back and he says it was because of Jacob. And that's when I realized, okay, I'm hurting his pocketbook, because when you collab with other people, you also share each other's subs. And that night we started sending emails back and forth, and he said, well, if you want to be a mod, I made a way for you to come back. You just have to attend 3 mod meetings, and then we'll let you go to the private room. And I ignored that for a minute, and I said, okay, well, I don't have a cell phone to get into Telegram because you have to have a cell phone. He said, well, just go get a cell phone on Text Now or something. And I said, okay. So I went and did it, but I still couldn't make it work. I didn't know it was wrong. So I sent him the message, and then he never answered me. But before that, we went back and forth in the emails, kind of going at each other a little bit, but not a lot. And he's saying I could have called him, and I'm saying you could have called me, you know, this and that. Well, then a couple days go by, and I started realizing what was going on. They did the same thing in a different chat that, to me, that they were doing to Shauna. We had the room where everybody went, and then the private room where we went and talked and schemed. Well, now I know that they have a room where all the mods would go, but then they have a private room where they would scheme. And when he said that I had to attend 3 mod meetings, I'm like, why don't I know about this room? Now, I knew that there was a place where you can go and talk to other people, but I didn't put 2 and 2 together. But now I am, and I'm realizing that that's where they would talk and scheme or whatever, now probably against Snaps, because he's now going after them for charity fraud. And I never heard from Adam again. But then, you know, this is when, you know, some of his mods started telling me, because we talked on the phone and they started telling me things. That's when I found out about my fundraiser. And that's when I found out about why this person attacked me that night. And this is where I'm finding everything out. I'm beside myself. I couldn't believe that Adam would treat me like this, because I was his biggest fan. I was his biggest supporter. I didn't talk behind his back. I uplifted him, always uplifted him. And I couldn't believe that CJ Blaze didn't defend me at all. And I sponsored her into being a mod. We all were asked to pick someone we trusted to be a mod back in the Shauna days. And I sponsored her to come in. So I was really floored that she didn't even stick up for me or defend me. And from what Adam said, all the mods got together and they all decided to kick me out. So here I've been his oldest mod for the most part. I think there are other mods that weren't even modding, and they took the wrench from people that didn't even know they were mods still, I guess. But here I'm finding out that they were the ones that kicked me out, which I don't believe that at all. I think it was a lie. I believe that Adam did that all on his own, him and Dex, because I was going against their pocketbook. I was going against Jacob Israel and Global Witness, and it was hurting their pocketbook. Now, some of you might be thinking, oh, that's why she's doing this, because she's not a mod and she's vengeful. No, not at all. If I wanted to be a mod, why didn't I, for almost 2 years, I stayed away. I don't care about no blue wrench. I don't care about being a mod. I don't care about any of that stuff. I got hurt because I found out the lies he was telling about me, and they weren't true. And it hurt me really bad, because I really had strong feelings towards Adam, like a lot of you do, you know. And come to find out that there ain't no Foogle family. There ain't no, you know, Marfoogle fam. It's all a lie. All of it. They just tossed me away like I was nothing. I didn't mean anything to them. And now days are going by where Snaps is doing videos about how they're about Dex and about, you know, algorithms and about giving all of our information and that's what all this stuff, you know. And you know, at first I thought, well, no big deal. I mean, when you go to buy groceries, you give them your zip code or your credit card, whatever, you know. And you know, this has been going on for a long time, you know. So, but the way Snaps is showing proof of a lot of things, and it's seemed worse, or it is worse than what I thought. And he kept saying there was something coming, there's something coming. Now, I didn't know what the something coming was. And then he posted the video or the audio, and he exposed the whole t-shirt charity with CARS4HEROS. And when I saw that video, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I was clearly, Terry France lied when he called in the show last night. Well, he didn't lie, actually. He said that they just started talking. So he didn't lie, but he also didn't tell the truth. He skated around the truth. It was Adam and Dex that were lying. Or Adam, because he was the voice. Dex sits in the background. Which is what I said to Snaps the day after I was attacked. I told them what was going to happen to Adam. I didn't know how. I didn't know why. I didn't know. But that still remains to be seen if this happens, if that happens. But when I saw the information and I heard the phone call with Terry France, man, I was just beside myself, because these fundraisers, these veterans, they need all the help they can get. There's so many. These veterans need our help. They can use all the help they can get. They've been through so much. And to find out that Adam never gave them the money, and all you have to do is listen to look at the evidence, and it's all true. And he didn't do no video shoot the last week. He went over there to do what he did. I don't know exactly what he did, but apparently it was cool with Terry France, the founder of CARS4HEROS. He accepted whatever they gave him. And then he came on Adam's show and tried to smooth everything over like, oh no, everything's good. No, everything's not good. That money would have never went to that organization had Snafu Snaps not called them out the way he did. And during the whole Shauna attack, Snafu Snaps was the bulldog. He was the one that was sent on the attack and was used the most. And a lot of you don't like the way he speaks now. You don't like, how he cusses and how angry he is. And he's angry because he realized he was manipulated. He realized he was used. He realized that they were stealing money from veterans. And it really angered him. And a lot of you don't understand why he's doing what he's doing in the manner that he's doing it. Because let's just face it, drama sells. A lot of people will pay attention if he's angry and upset and cussing and all that. But he does it because he wants you to see the proof, the evidence. And a lot of us are aware now of everything that's taken place. And it's wrong. What you did, Adam, was wrong. I really believed you were a Christian. I really believed you had a good heart. And somewhere you did. Somewhere down the line that changed. And I believe it changed when you started talking to Jacob and Global Witness. They are false teachers. And if any of you are following their teaching, you have to understand what you're doing. They are your idol. You are following them. If you do not follow the Father, you follow an idol. You follow a false god. And you're listening to their teachings thinking, oh, I'm getting great info from them. Oh, they're wonderful. I saw the chats and I couldn't believe the things that I was reading in the chats and the collabs. How many people are being fooled by both of them? You are not the Christ because you have Christ in you. That is a flat out lie. The Bible speaks of this. Many will say that the Christ. Don't believe them. Jacob Israel, Oh, Global Witness also says that you're not allowed to talk about dogma on his channel. Oh no. Well, what's dogma? The dogma is the Bible. He wants you to believe his new age of thinking. That if you have Christ in you, you are the Christ. Well, Global Witness, let me see you start the rapture. Fly me up, honey. Show me. Show me you're the Christ. Do a miracle. Make my son's brain better. Give me my son back. If you are the Christ, Global Witness, give me back my son's brain. Make him normal again. You son of a bitch. All the people that you are lying to. All the people that are following you. You're sending them straight to the pit, and they're following you like little sheep as they say they're awake, and they're not. They're asleep. Show me that you're the Christ. Show me. Because you can't. You can't do nothing but sit behind a computer, talk in your soft little toned voice, and bat your eyes, and lie through your teeth. So these people follow you blind. And Jacob Israel, when those women wrote to you and told you to please put clothes on because you're causing them to sin, and you sit there and you grab your chest and your arms and you say, I'm not gonna change. I look good. Yeah, well, that was Satan's sin. He looked good. He was prideful. He was the most beautiful of all the angels. You throw yourself, because your name is Jacob, you throw yourself into the Bible every chance you get. Well, I was named after Mary Magdalene. Should I say that I walked with Jesus? Should I say that I was at the tomb? It's asinine. It's asinine. You need to get a grip on your life. Because what both of you two are doing is heresy. It's blasphemy, what you two are doing. And the worst part is that out of all the pastors and all the preachers out there that Adam could have collabed with, that Adam could have brought on his channel, he brings both of you. Both of you. Adam, you are no longer a Christian channel. You are now Luciferian, because if you are not on the Father's side, there's no in between. There's no on the fence. There's his and the other. There's either the Father or Luciferian. And your channel is now turned Luciferian. That's why I got kicked off. Because I was exposing it. I was exposing you, Global Witness, and Jacob Israel. And Alaska Prepper, if you hear this, I highly suggest you stay away, because the only reason they brought you on is to get your subs. That's the only reason they brought you on. Because now they have this thing going. But they're even they even promote channels that don't even watch his channel, Adam, so that they can get their subs, because it's a different arena, different group of people. And they don't care who goes to hell, because all they want is money. Money, money, money. The root of all evil, money. You have a great channel, Alaska Prepper. You worked hard for it. So I suggest you stay away from doing collabs on this channel, on his channel. But that's up to you. 3 times, Adam. 3 times you've thrown my fundraiser in my face. The Bible says, give with the right hand, but don't let the left hand know what it's doing, so it can't come and slap it out of the right hand. I would have rather you not done a fundraiser for me and just give me well wishes if you were going to throw it in my face. But then again, what did I do to Shauna? I threw the fundraiser in her face. Yep, I did. I remember I did that. It was awful. It was an awful thing to do. I had no business doing that. I had no right to do that to her. To make her now feel guilty for taking it. Guilty for spending it. Guilty that it was even started. I should have never done that to her. She deserved more than what she got. She deserved thousands more. than what she received. It was a drop in the hat what we collected for her. For me, you didn't have to throw up my face at him. You didn't have to do that. That wasn't right. That wasn't a godly thing to do. Wasn't a friendly thing to do. You told me that you helped me, with my channel. When did you help me with my channel? You told all of us to use your name, Marfoogle, in the front of our videos to hide Iggy's and everybody else's coming against you, to help push theirs down away from yours. So we did. But then after a while, I stopped because I wanted to talk about God, and I didn't want to put your name on there because I didn't know all of your beliefs other than I thought you were a Christian. But other than that, when did you help my channel? And he shouted me out a couple of times, but look at my numbers. They never moved. From what I understand from listening to the WV's channel and Snafu's channel, y'all are keeping some people's counts down. Working with YouTube. I don't know. I know it's true. I know I ain't been growing. I know my videos don't get a lot of views. And that's fine. I ain't tripping on that. But to sit there and say how you helped me by talking behind my back. You helped me by throwing the fundraiser in my face 3 times. I guess you get what you give. I did it to Shauna, so it was done to me. And I'm sorry for doing that, Shauna. I'm really sorry for doing that to you. You didn't deserve that. You didn't deserve anything. You didn't deserve any of it. So I no longer support Marfoogle News or Marfoogle TV. I stopped following Global Witness. We moved here 5 years ago. And in the first 6 months, I found Global Witness's channel. I watched him straight for 2 weeks, nonstop, just binge watched. And then I got a prompting to step away, and I did. And 2 weeks later, I went back. And I was scrolling through the videos. Out of the hundreds of videos, I'm scrolling and scrolling, and I hear that one. And I click on it. And that's when the Father showed me his false teaching, where he specifically says, if you have Christ in you, you are the Christ. Soon after I left his channel, I saw Jacob Israel, because I was watching Jacob. I saw him collabing with Global Witness. I saw when they brought him in. And I stopped watching his channel. And the only reason I knew about the whole women writing into him and telling him not to wear t-shirts on his show, to put some clothes on, was because now I'm seeing the collabs. And I saw that video because the way he named it or whatever, and I watched it. And that's when the Father showed me his pride. So I no longer follow any of their channels. And I highly suggest you not either. There are other news channels. There are other places you can go and hear solid teaching. You could even just type in the Bible and hear it for yourself. But to follow these channels now, after everything that's come to light, I think you might want to get some discernment on what you're doing. Because you are now following Luciferians. And Adam, you need to tell the truth. That's it. Just tell the truth. Just tell them it was hard times. You spent the money. You needed it. You spent it. And if you gave it back to them, which Terry Francis is saying, well, then you gave it to them. But tell the truth of what really happened. People can forgive the truth, but they can't forgive the lies. When you continue and continue. The night before Terry France came on, and you did the video saying that, oh, it was lost in a third party, and now they've gotten paid and all of that. Go watch that show again, because you look like the cat that swallowed the canary. Like, the look on your face, you had that smirk and that grin, like you got away with something. You beat Snaps and Snaps to the punch. You fixed it before anything bad happened. Well, you didn't fix it, because we all see through it. And when you saw that you needed to do more, you bring him on your show. Oh, clearly, Terry France will fix everything. He didn't fix everything. He cooperated with what Snaps and Snaps was saying by saying he just got the money. So for 3 years, explain that. Explain it, Adam. Everybody wants to know. But more than that, Adam, explain why you targeted Shauna. Explain why you went after a veteran. She didn't do anything to you. She bothered you a little bit on the phone, but it seems to me after listening to the phone call, you more than bothered her. Why don't you tell the truth about all of that? She didn't deserve it. I didn't deserve it. None of your subscribers deserve the lies. And all the people that donated, not to mention just donating cash to you, they do it because they thought you were an honorable man. They give you money because they think that you know, just like I thought, you know, you're giving great information and you're a wonderful human being and this and that and you're a Christian. If they knew the truth, maybe they wouldn't have donated all that money. Now, I'm not trying to say that you don't deserve nothing, but all of your subs deserve the truth about everything, about the private chat rooms and how you target people. It's wrong, Adam. It's wrong. I hope you repent. I hope you change, and I hope you come back to the Father, because you're a lost sheep now. You are the one lost sheep that the Father's looking for, because you are no longer his. Now, this is addressed to all of you mods. I know that Adam has told you a lot of lies about me. There's a couple of you that have told me. There's one of you that got caught up in that lie with the Shauna thing. Think back about how that felt, that you were lied to. And it's happening again. You know me. We've talked a lot. And then think about the lies he's told about me. I'm greedy. That I don't care about other people, or whatever it is he's saying about me. I'm not going to rehash it all, but y'all know what he's saying about me. Some of you told me. So think back, all of you mods. Think about that. He hasn't talked to me. Tell him to show you proof. Tell him you want to see a text message, because I don't have a cell phone. Tell him you want to see a phone bill. Tell him you want an email. Since after that night that lady came in screaming like a banshee at me, I left being a mod for a while. So after that day, ask him to show you proof that me and him talked. Proof that I bashed him. Because there's nothing. I uplifted him. Never talked bad about him. Always promoted his channel. Even when I went into grocery stores and stuff, and I'd meet people and I'd say, hey, have you checked out this channel? You might want to check it out. Ask him to show you proof that he's been in contact with me. Because he, from what I understand, from what I've been told from you, from a couple of you, that he makes it sound like he's been keeping up with me and checking in on me. He's never called me since that night. Never checked on me. Never seen if I was okay. We've been without heat since November of last year. my heater broke. So we've been using plug-in heater, a wall heater, during the winter, and it was cold. But we just piled in the living room. And then summer hit. My air conditioner went out. So my sister-in-law sent us one of those 800 BTU air conditioners, so we pretty much hang out in the living room until I can afford to get it fixed. My water heater broke. $600. I don't have $600. So we've been without hot water. I have to heat up the water. My neighbor finally went and got one for us. Out of love. Because that's what Christians do for each other. I'm about to share a story with you here in a few minutes. And at the end, you're going to see a video. And as I'm looking and looking and searching, all I kept thinking in my head was, this huge platform, I can't even call for help. I can't even call him and say, hey, can you put out a message for anybody that lives in Missouri, in my area? I couldn't even do that. Because you threw me out. You threw me away. What did I do to deserve that, Adam? And it's okay. I'm not mad at you. I'm not mad at any of you mods. I'm not mad at anybody because I know where it comes from. When you read the books that they took out, you understand why people behave the way they do. Doesn't mean it's right, and it doesn't excuse the behavior. But I also know where the behavior comes from. So I'm able to forgive. I'm able to not be angry. I can be hurt. But I can still forgive you. And I already have. For everything you've said about me, I forgive you. I'm hurt. Because I did love you very much, Adam. As a human being. All you mods, I adored you. Even Leah, you're an atheist. Didn't matter. I stuck up for you. You saw that. Doesn't matter what your beliefs are right now. It's going to matter when you're judged, though. And all I kept thinking was, a seed was planted. Maybe she'll come around. Maybe you won't. That's your, road to cross. But I didn't treat you no differently. Because I truly, truly love all of you. You're my brothers and sisters. And when you read what they took out of the Bible, they took over 266 books. Like that number? They took them from us. When you start reading those books, you understand this world. You can see this world. Everything is upside down and backwards. Even the language we speak is Satan's language. Everyone says, oh no, it's the language of lies. People lie. Well, no, that's just lying. And he's the father of it. But that's not, I'm talking about the way we speak. The way I'm talking right now. They call it English. That's not our language. Go record a baby. Goo goo gaga. Record a baby. And then put it in reverse. They're talking to us. They're talking to their parents. Go to Rumble. Type in reverse speech. Babies, infants, reverse speech. And they record these babies. And when they replay it backwards, they're talking to their parents. That's our first language. But when we come here, everything is upside down and backwards. So we think this is our language. And it's not. Isn't that trippy? But I still adore you, Adam. I still love you. But I also know that as a brother, you need to come clean. As your sister, I wouldn't be doing right by you if I didn't tell you these things. And all of you mods, if any of you decide to come after me because of this video, you will be judged. Because I've said nothing mean, nothing horrible. I've told the truth as I know it. If I'm wrong, hey, tell me I'm wrong and tell me where I'm wrong. And I'll fix it. I don't think that I am. I'm pretty sure I'm not. Because you all know the truth too. But I still love you all. Lisa, You know I adore you over all of them. You're like a big sister. I miss you. And I just want you to know that I adore you. Jay, not upset with you, not angry. I hope the best for you. Aaliyah, I don't really know you very well, but you seem like a very nice young woman. I'm just going to tell you, you're going to be used. If Adam does not change his ways, you might think they're your friends, because I did. Hell, look at me, Aaliyah. Been his mod for what, four going on 5 years? Ask him to show you where I turned on him. Ask him to show you where I went against him, other than the emails that we just exchanged, other than this video. Ask him or any other mod where I turned on Adam, where I gossiped about any of you. Because I never did. But still, they turned on me. They're going to do the same to you. They're using you now. Instead of Snafu Snaps 3, they're using you now. They're not your friends. You know, my dad, Aaliyah, my dad told me once, you know, I was really sad about someone I thought was a friend or something. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I remember my dad said, he said, friends, you don't have any friends. Your friends are your family. Those people you meet that you call your friends, they're just acquaintances. They're just people that come by through your life, like little bus stops. They stop, visit with you for a little while, and then they move on. No such thing as a friend. Your friend is your family. The ones that are with you through thick and thin all the time. So Aaliyah, I just caution you, be careful who you call a friend, because their motto is keep your enemies close. You might not be their enemy right now, but one day, what happened to me, or Snafu Snaps, or West Virginia, one of the most godly people I know, they even turned on her. What did that lady do to anybody? But love each other. She just loved everybody. She never hurt nobody. They attacked her, stalked her, hacked her phone. For what reason? She doesn't do nothing to nobody but uplifts people. You tell her that you got a problem and you tell her about it, she uplifts you. She helps you. They didn't have to do what they did to her. I just caution you to be careful. So to all of you mods, I love you. You are all my sisters. We were all friends on the other side. We all know each other on the other side, but everything's backwards here. When we're sent here, when we come here, Satan pits us against each other. He causes us to do this to each other. When you read the books that they took out, this is what this world is. And when you hurt each other so bad, or even shoot another human being, when you get to the other side, you're facing them, and guess what you realize? Guess what you find out when you're over there? That you were best friends, or you were family. You realize what Satan made you do here. So be careful who you're mean to. Be careful who you target, because you shouldn't be doing any of that. Christian or atheist, doesn't matter. Shouldn't be doing any of that. I love you very much. All of you mods. And Adam. And Dex. And even your wife, Dex. I forgive her. I do. Now, Bones, if I said anything in this video that hurt your feelings or your wife's, I do apologize. The video is not to point fingers at anybody. It was to tell the truth of what happened at that time. So I hope you're not offended, or your wife. And if you are, I am sorry. And if I was wrong in my assumptions back then I do apologize. But just know that this is not to point my finger at you or anything. It's just to tell what happened back then. That's it. And Rip Curl, I'm singling you out as well. Well, you are the one mod that tries to be the peacekeeper. You tell everyone that, we should love each other and not go after each other. And you have a very, very, very kind soul. You're a very, very sweet man, a very nice man. And from what I can see, a very honorable man. And that night that I called you, I really needed someone to talk to. Like, I was, at the time it just happened, and a lot of things, I was finding out a lot of things that, hurt my feelings and stuff, and I just needed someone to talk to. And when you said that I could talk to you, and when I call you and the phone goes dead, as soon as, I get like you talked for a few minutes, and then as soon as I got one sentence out, the phone dies. And here's the thing, and when I had my business, I had about 30 to 40 employees. And the one thing that I told them was, don't ever lie to me. Don't ever lie to me. If you cannot make an event, tell me ahead of time. Give me time to replace you. If you lie to me and I find out, I will fire you. And you're talking about a lot of 16 to 22-year-olds at the time. So I would tell them, just tell me the truth. So what'd they do? They told me the truth. Like the week before a wedding or an event on Saturday, they'd come to me on like Tuesday or Wednesday, and they'd say, hey, we're going to the beach Saturday. And I'd be like, okay. And I'd give them my roster of all the employees, and I'd say, find a replacement. And they would. Because I told them, if you ever tell me your phone died, it's a lie. If you ever tell me you can't find your charger, it's a lie. We know how people are with their phones. Very rarely do phones die. Unless you're living up here in the mountains somewhere. The way people are so attached to their phones, that's not a good excuse. That's pretty bad. And they knew that. So I find when people are honest with each other, that is usually the best way to go. So you're right in a lot of, the things that you say, that, we should love each other and all of that. But when I called you that night and the phone died, you didn't call me back. You sent me an email, which told me your phone still worked. And you said, hey, we'll talk tomorrow, but you never called me back. I just needed some advice. A lot of us look up to you as like our older brother. But I didn't just call you randomly. You told me it was okay. So that's why I called you. I just needed, I needed an ear. I needed to talk to somebody. Being up here with just my two boys, I can't talk to them. But I do appreciate how, you treat everyone. You're a very kind man. But be careful with telling people that they can call and talk to you when they really can't. And I'm fine, and I'm not upset with you or anything. I just don't tell people that they can call and talk to you if they can't, because it's even more hurtful. Because if it was true that your phone died and you didn't lie, you could have called me back an hour later. You could have plugged in the phone, talked to me while it was plugged in, or you could have called the next day. And I know you don't like hearing about drama and stuff like that, and that's fine. But then, why are you in the channels with the drama responding? It's kind of a conflict there. So I think you have to make a choice with one or the other. That's really all I want to say to you. And
and just tell you I do adore you. I do appreciate you. And I think you have an awesome channel. Adam, I'm going to share one last story with you so that you can know the depths of what you did. A couple of nights ago, we all went to bed. It was about 10 o'clock maybe. And the next morning, me and my little guy get up and we clean up, watch a few videos. Everything's fine. And it was, I don't know, it was, I realized that Christopher hadn't come inside and gotten his energy drink because I went out for him. And I told my little guy, I said, go see if he's in his cabin. And he said, oh, he's probably sleeping. I said, well, just go check. So he goes and checks it. He comes back and he says he's not there. And I look at the energy drink, and all of a sudden I start realizing, wait a minute, he's gone. Because if you know my Christopher, that's the first thing he wants in the morning is his energy drink. So I told Jeremy, I said, get in the truck. And we start driving up and down this long street. It's like 7 miles, both directions. Can't find him. I'm stopping cars, and they're saying they don't see him because everybody on this street knows each other. It's all farms. It's real long. And the first guy I stopped, he was a vet. And I told him what I was dealing with, and he said, okay. He says, well, I'll look around for him. And I told him he's 8 years old, so he's a lost little boy, you know. So he said, okay. And then I go the other direction, and I pulled over another car of a elderly couple that go to the church here. And I asked them if they seen him because they came from the other direction. They said, no, they hadn't seen him, but they'll keep an eye out. So we drove around for a while looking for him, couldn't find him. So we come home, and I told him, look, if he's not home by 6 o'clock, I'll call the police. Because now it's like 5:30. And so I started cleaning up the kitchen, just waiting for him to walk in that door, like he always does. And I started praying, and I started asking the Father, please find my son. Show me where he is. Help me find him. And all of a sudden, there's a knock at the door. And I go open it, and it's one of the neighbors here up the road. And she said, we saw your son today. And I said, where? She goes, well, it was about 1 o'clock, and he was over here in this town. I went, what? That's like 15 miles away. She said, well, we were over there, and I seen him, and I don't really know his issues, but I do know that, you know, you take care of him. I said, oh my gosh, thank you. So me and Jeremy jump in the truck, and we drive over there. It's a small town, and we get to the intersection because there's only one. And I make a left, and I go about a quarter of a mile, and there's my little boy. There's my little 8-year-old walking down the street. I pull over. If you could imagine the look of an 8-year-old that's lost, and their eyes, how wide they are when they see their mommy that found them, that's the look he gave me. He's 39-year-old, 6'3", huge grown man. But his eyes were that of an 8-year-old. And the look in his eyes, when I pulled up next to him, he couldn't get in the truck fast enough. He was a lost little boy. A lost little 8-year-old boy. And I asked him, I said, Christopher, where were you? Why did you leave? He said, I didn't leave. I said, how'd you end up here? He goes, I don't know, I was just thinking. Because that's what he does, he just thinks all day long. He said, I was just thinking. I said, but how did you end up here? And he goes, I kept trying to find my way home, but I couldn't figure out which way to turn. These veterans, Adam, these veterans have so many issues, so many different issues. I was one of the lucky ones.
I got my son back. Even 8-year-old, I got my son back. Do you know how many mom and dads never got their children back? And how many mom and dads got their children back, but didn't get their children back? War does things to these people that we can't comprehend. What they saw over there, what they did over there, you couldn't comprehend any of it. I remember talking to a vet at the VA one day when I took my son in for therapy, and me and my son were sitting there, and the therapist called him in his office. There was another veteran sitting next to me, and he was watching our interaction. And after my son walked out to go to his appointment, he looked at me and he said, "He'll come home one day." I just looked at him and I said, "What?" He goes, "One day he's gonna come home." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "He's still over there. His mind is still over there. But one day you're gonna get your son back. One day he's gonna wake up. He's gonna come home." I'll tell you right now, turn it off.
Hey, Travis in there. Who's down there? Where is he? This is awesome.
Hi, I'm looking for my son. He's really tall, big guy, white shirt and shorts, kind of
Haven't seen anybody walking on this
on
road.
this road. Did you come from 54?
Yes, ma'am.
Shoot. Okay. He's a vet and his capacity's not there.
Here's my
He
brother.
doesn't even know what year it is.
Oh my.
Yeah. Okay.
Now you might want to get a hold of authorities, get a search party going.
Okay. It's only been a couple hours. He goes for walks, and I keep telling him the store's too far to walk, and he doesn't understand how far we live.
So y'all live down this way?
And so I thought, you know what? It's noon. He hasn't come in to get no cigarettes. He hasn't come in to ask for an energy drink. So that's not like him. He's on it with those. But
Well, I'm a veteran myself. and
Are you?
I believe that, you know, you need some help. You might want to get the authorities involved, get a search party, find him, maybe get him. Does he do VA at all? Or
he
anything?
won't even. That's the thing. He won't get in the car. Whatever happened to him in Iraq, he won't get in the car. Just to move from California out here 5 years ago, it took the police, the ambulance, it took everyone to coerce him into the truck. And even then, he had to go for a walk, and then I picked him up, and he finally got in. And he was okay till we got here. Once we got here, he would never get in the truck again.
Wow.
Yeah, so, and he doesn't know my address. He doesn't know phone numbers. He's living in Iraq 24/7.
Gotcha.
That's all
Oh,
he's doing.
I get it.
Yeah.
Well, ma'am, I'll keep an eye out. If I see him, I'll contact authorities.
His name's Christopher,
Christopher?
and he's about 6'3", 6'2", 6'3", big husky boy, probably close to 275, 300 pounds. And all he has on is a white t-shirt and like speckled gray shorts and blue, black and white tennis shoes. And I yelled at him yesterday because he keeps. I hide his energy drinks because he'll drink 20 in a day.
Oh, that's bad.
So yeah, so I allot him 3 a day, one at noon, one in the afternoon, and one in the evening. And
The sun hurts my eyes.
I have 3 cabins, and they all have their own air conditioners, and he knows how
And
to
ours
take them
went out.
out. And he keeps taking them out, and one of them almost fell and broke. And it's more than that. It's like a ton of stuff that he does. But I finally yesterday I just blew it because he's opening. I have food storage, you know, and he opens up cans of meat and he just throws it, just opens and throws it.
Oh, my.
Yeah, and
You ain't getting help, ma'am.
he's from what the doctor said, he reverted back to his infancy. He's 8 years old, but cognitively he is more like a 3-year-old, but he knows he's an adult, and all he does is go over the war. And they said he'll either snap out of it or he'll stay that way. And I said, well, will he grow up? And they said, no, it doesn't work that way.
Wow.
And so basically I have a child on my hands, but sometimes I forget. And I yelled at him last night, and I said, if I can't take care of you, you're going to have to go to a VA hospital, Christopher. I can't watch you 24/7.
Right.
I mean, he's caused a couple of fires, not anything. We caught them,
Right.
you know, and I was so angry. And now I wish I hadn't said it. I wish I hadn't said anything, because that might have scared him to run. You know, might have just scared him. I wish I hadn't said
All right,
that.
well, keep an eye out for him.
Thank you.
Ma'am.
There's no way you can run. We have to contact the authorities or something?
No, if we don't find him here soon.
Your brakes are so bad. Who's that?
Hi, I'm looking for my son. He's like 6'5", white t-shirt, short, gray shorts, big husky boy. He would just be walking up and down, balding on top. You came from that way? Did you come
Came
from?
from my house.
Oh, did you come?
We come all the way from Stockton, and I didn't see anybody either.
You came up from all the way up from
To
J,
all the way from to W, where I live.
and you didn't see nobody walking that size?
Uh-uh.
Oh my gosh.
What's the problem?
He's a vet, and he's my son. Has the mentality of an 8-year-old. He has infancy syndrome from
I'm
the
9.
war, and he doesn't know the year. He doesn't know the date. He doesn't know anything. He doesn't know phone numbers, addresses, and he went for a walk, and I don't know where he went.
Well, she probably did cross the country or something.
I think he would stay on the road. So I just want to know how far you came up.
Well, it's been, I don't know when he left. When he left,
It's been a couple hours.
oh, well, we could see him.
Yeah,
On W, I didn't see him. Well,
yeah, okay.
we're headed there. You haven't had him at home, have
Yeah, he's been living with me. We've been here for 5 years,
you?
and
Oh, he's been with you?
mhm. Yeah, he's been living with us, but he doesn't go nowhere. He barely leaves his cabin. He you know, he's very secluded. He, you know, won't get in a vehicle. So,
No, I'll just play on my little tablet or phone.
so I don't know.
He didn't take down the road to go on the other way, did he?
I don't think he'll go. Well, that's what I'm thinking. If you came from that way, I'm gonna go that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then once I get to N, it's four directions. So,
He came down J from Stockton, and I didn't see anybody. But that don't mean that he didn't take another road.
yeah. Okay, well, I want to go right on J then. All right, thank you.
No,
Thank you so much.
help you.
Thank you.
I want to get the search party going then. So they saw Christopher? That way.
No, he's in stop. Man, how did you get way over there?
He must have walked. He must have asked someone for a ride then.
Seatbelt. Thank you, Father. Thank you, Father. At least it's not that hot.
Thank gosh, it ain't like 100 degrees. I'm so happy with that. And earlier it was hot, but now since it's getting to set, it's gonna get cooler. Should be. Hey, yeah, how the heck did he even get over there? name?
Last wind feels like freedom on my face.
Chris!
Don't do that. Just look.
Batteries.
Down the street.
I am looking down there. He's not.
I think he would stay by the grocery store. Sonic. Look down the street.
I am. I'm trying to get the sun on my eye. It hurts.
Is that him?
What?
There he is.
What the freaking cheeky asshole? What are you doing out here? Get it!
What are you doing?
Trying to find my way back.
Why? Do you know you walked 15 miles, dude? Why?
Because I wasn't paying attention to the store.
Have you drinking or eaten anything?
No, not eating.
I'll
Me
get you
too,
something.
Christopher. I miss you, bro.
Get the money out of here. Go inside and get him. You want a water or a cola Slurpee?
I want to.
Here, Chris. You want a cola Slurpee or you want a water?
Well, I'll take a water.
I want to swim.
Or an energy drink, whatever you can grab.
I'm not. They cost too much here. I'll get you a water. I'll go inside. Give me the money.
Can I have a Slurpee, Mom?
Can you grab some cigarettes?
There's some at home. I don't have no money. Did you have any? Where's the money that was here? Hear me?
I don't have it. It's in here, right?
I only got $7. That's it.
But no, I want to Slurpee, Mama. Oh. Let's going.
Hey, if you ever come here and get lost again, if you go in here and tell them, I'm Christopher, can you call my mom? They have the phone number and they'll call me. If you ever get lost again.
We're walking on our friend Randy.
I guess he does drive the car. I guess he does make fun.
Your life is back with something special to help with your home.